The gentleman from Alabama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at this time I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Blunt.
The gentleman is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thank the gentleman for yielding and for the hard work he's done on this bill. And clearly the country would like to see the right things done to the economy. I think this bill fails to do many of the basic things it should have done and does the things that we shouldn't have done. It doesn't end too big to fail, Mr. Speaker. In fact, it institutionalizes too big to fail. Treasury will be able to front money to wind down these failing firms, but also Treasury can decide if they're at risk of failure. Way too much involvement in with the taxpayers in coming in and doing exactly what the American taxpayers are tired of seeing us doing. The government-sponsored entities, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, that we've talked about and will talk about more on this floor today and have talked about for months as one of the prime causes for the economic problems we face, as far as I can tell, are not mentioned. And if they are mentioned, Mr. Speaker, there's no reform. The root cause of the problem we have in the economy today was caused by these entities, and they're not addressed, and it was said they would not be addressed. More control, Mr. Speaker, by the Federal Reserve of more things and more regulation. There's a new agency under the Federal Reserve that will be in charge of setting new rules for the banking sector of the country in its entirety. Credit, Mr. Speaker, will not be more available. It will be less available. And people who are in the job-creating business are already making announcements about what they'll do as they respond to this. Why is that? Because this bill steps further into managing the economy. The government may be able to do lots of things, but making business decisions is not one of them. Utility companies, food processors, others who routinely try to protect themselves in a volatile marketplace will not be able to do this. Mr. Speaker, this bill will cost jobs at the very time we ought to be figuring out how to increase jobs. Mr. Speaker, I hope our colleagues will turn it down and go back and do the right thing. I yield back.
The gentleman from Massachusetts.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself 15 seconds to correct the gentleman.